you don't have to worry. We ain't so old. Now, if you got the line, I got the pole. Now tell me, dear, don't you know? We can go out for a good time. Would you like to go?
What is Oceanic and how was it founded? Like, what was the motive behind it?
Well, I got this store in 1990, 1990, and then I wanted my spiritual master Osho to give me the name of the shop.
Wow.
But it just happened that 3 days after I got the possession of the shop, he was no more. And then only thing I could think of, Oceanic. And Oceanic, I also connect like ocean of music, and it's Oceanic. And Oceanic is, very vast. It's,
Nothing in relevance to like sound being a wave or a particle, right?
Well, sound is a wave, ocean is a wave. Yeah, it's,
that's great. That's great.
Doesn't look Check.
Just see if the level is correct, both of us.
Yeah, it's you clap once. Rolling. Alright, you guys can start.
Rolling?
Yeah.
Okay. First, let's start with introduction. So, tell me about yourself. And
I'm Mahendra Dave.
uh-huh.
I run the music store. We sell vinyl records, high-end audio equipment, which
Great.
covers turntables and digital also.
And you, sir?
I'm Bhavesh Dave. I'm his nephew. Again, with the store since the third generation in the business.
Wow.
Yeah, and that's not much about me.
So, let's start with you, sir. How did you develop interest in music?
I don't know actually. I don't think there's a particular thing that got me into music because I don't think there was too much music playing in my house. More so in my house, there was films playing, movies.
Okay.
Music, I suppose that I think I had like a natural like proclivity to singing, dancing, and doing things with my hands, right? So by the time my early teens showed up, I picked up an instrument.
Well, it happened so naturally to me because my father had perhaps the first music store in Pune.
Wow.
And I used to hang around in the store from very young age, as far as I remember. So I got exposure to a very wide range of sound and the music, different genre of music.
Great. And you, sir, like since he's your uncle, how?
It's pretty much the same story. All of us got naturally pushed into the progression of business that was carried on by the ancestors. And yeah, it's been a journey, not as long as his, but yeah, along this similar lines. Was doing my college, started helping out at the store, and sooner than later joined the business.
Do you
Some
remember what
singular
instrument
thing.
was it?
It was a guitar.
Oh.
And then I played that I tried to learn for about a year. And then I started playing bass after that because a band wanted a bass player and I had to be put in their emergency bass player requirement. So yeah, so I still consider, in a way, the bass my primary instrument.
So, how was it like growing up around Empire Music House?
मेरी भीगी भीगी सी पलकों पे रह गए जैसे मेरे सपने बिखर के जले मन तेरा भी किसी के मिलन को अनामिका तू भीतर से.
Oh, it was absolutely great. I find myself very, very fortunate to grow up with music, and also I have a very inquisitive mind, and I always wanted to know how things work. So I used to hang around in a workshop, in the shop where the equipment would come for repairs, and I'll observe. So right from Chaviwala gramophone days, I've seen the industry grow. That was the beginning of this industry.
Great.
So I've gone through almost all the formats, different formats of music storage, right from 78 RPM shellac records to the vinyl records, to the cassettes, spool recorder, which was another big thing. It was a very high quality. CDs came in between their digital direct compact mini disc, and many formats I've gone through.
So previously when I met you guys mentioned that you were associated with the Pune Jazz Club, right?
Yes,
Can you tell me
I
more
was
about
one of
it?
the founder of the
Oh, wow.
Pune Jazz Club. So we ran it for about almost 14, 15 years. We were meeting once a month at Max Muller Bhavan. They have been kind enough and allowed us to use their premises. And we would provide the good system, Oceanic would sponsoring the system. And it was like jazz, free flowing. Anyone could come and present their choice of music and why they love. They can give a talk on the music also.
Do you have any first record, any vinyl record that you first bought? Do you remember what
The
was
first record I bought, I bought it today just to be able to play it because I want to when we do the, or unless we're talking about in the past, I did play it earlier. No, but the first record I bought was was Carlos Santana and John McLaughlin. Oh, sorry, Mahavishnu, John McLaughlin. It's called Love, Devotion, Surrender. I remember when I bought it, I was like 15 or 16 from a store on DN Road in Fort in Bombay. It still exists. I think the owner of the store is Mr. Abdul Razak. I might get his name wrong, but I went to the store, just walking around. I knew the store existed. I'd always seen it. So then Abdul Bhai is like, okay, so what are you listening to nowadays? And I was like, I'm listening to the Grateful Dead on the Internet Archive. You know, I was downloading the live shows and listening to them at home. He's like, okay, take this. And he gave me the Love, Devotion, Surrender album, Carlos Santana and Mahavishnu, John McLaughlin. And then I went home and I put it on. And the first song was like, oh, you know, like it sounds like the Grateful Dead, like in the rhythm section. It sounds like it might be that. Second song, though, after that song got done, I was like, whoa, what was that, right? So then I flip over the record and I go and read what's there, and it turns out track list, side A, song 1 is A Love Supreme by John Coltrane, and the second one is Naima. Now that I think of it, if Abdul Bhai hadn't given me that Santana and Mahavishnu, John McLaughlin record, I wouldn't know who Coltrane was at that age. So it's important that I even have that record, because that was my introduction to Naima and then Giant Steps and then the Love Supreme album. So at least with what we're doing today at the store at Oceanic, I'm going to try and tie that line from the first record I bought to maybe the last thing I bought and see if it all makes sense.
And what do you love the most about owning an audio store?
Being a passionate about music, being passionate music lover. I mean, I couldn't be having anything better than that. And I love music, and I'm sort of so overflowing with my joy, and I like to share my joy with the people, always explore new music, make excellent friends through the business who are also passionate music lovers. So it becomes very easy to connect with anyone, no matter what his status is. My father was very kind enough to support my passion and my hobby, so he allowed me to take a copy of record whatever I liked. So it just happened so naturally. I can't say it happened on so and so date. And it continues even now.
Any specific favorite record that you have, or any genre that you really admire?
Oh, very wide range.
Wow.
It'll be easier to tell you what I don't like.
So what's the trickiest part about DJing with vinyl records?
I don't think there's anything tricky, so to speak. I think there's more moving parts, of course. So you do have to do a bit more preparation and know your equipment and stuff like that. But it's just like learning any other skill. You start, you build a foundation, and then you build on top of that foundation, right? But if I may alter the question slightly, I think what's trickier is doing music, which is that if you're, at least according to me, if you're really doing music, like if you're really, really about this shit, you know, about this life, I think it's important, whether you're a performer or a DJ or a singer or whatever, to sort of understand music from the first principles, you know? Try and ask questions of why, how, what, right? And when you finally contend with those questions and the answers that follow, I think music reveals itself to be a much more powerful thing than you think it is, right? So what's often said nowadays is that the younger generation don't have that kind of attachment to music and maybe treat it superficially, right? I think that would all change if people started to understand music from the first principles approach, right? And yeah, so I think eventually when you understand music from that approach, you you understand that you can't really control it, right? So a lot of people want to control the music. Like, okay, we're part of the music industry, so we're going to make the rules, and this is how it's going to be. It's how the money is going to dole out. And I think people have misunderstood that. I think they think they have power over this thing, and music is way too powerful, So the best thing you can actually do is surrender, and I think surrendering is tricky. That's why I think the whole thing is, for lack of a better word, tricky. The surrender part is tricky. Some people can, some people can't. That's what it is. All right, recording? Okay, cool. Mic check 1, 2. We're at Oceanic Sound and Vision, the first episode of Custodians of Time by Bim and Bai. And it's our near AKA, the Vigilante. They use some music. We're going to start with the first record I ever bought when I was about 15 years old. Carlos Santana and Mahavishnu John McLaughlin on the album Love, Devotion, Surrender.
So, would you still prefer to go analog or stick to digital, or is it?
It might be sacrilege saying this in a record store, right? But I'm not the person I'm not that guy who is going to be like, go all analog and stuff like that. I've never even owned digital equipment. So all the practice I've done as a DJ for the last many years has been on turntables at home, right? I don't see the need to go out and market myself as a vinyl only DJ, because that would be selling the format.
Do you think is a good audio setup necessary to listen to a record at its full potential or full quality?
It's very, very necessary. Because if your system cannot reproduce sound in its original tonal quality, if it does not reproduce fine details in the music and nuances, you don't connect with music emotionally. It's like just playing in the background. And that is what is happening sadly nowadays, that people are listening to music as a background. They don't get emotionally connected with the music.
If you put a turntable in front of me, I know for a fact that I'm going to do more with a turntable than your standard DJ does. And if you put the CDJ in front of me, I'm going to do the same. I treat both things as individual instruments and see what kind of creativity they can bring out of me, and what kind of what their nature is, so we can find some kind of interplay in our conversation, between man and machine, right? But that vinyl only stuff is marketing. I don't care. If you have to sell that as your main thing, obviously there's either have a lack of personality or you can't truly stand behind the music. So you're like, oh, check me out, vinyl DJ. Nobody cares. Nobody cares.
I think your earlier question has some relevance to it. You said how challenging it is to be in this trade. I think the other challenge is exactly that. I mean, you have all these online players who are selling machines which are, I mean, they're cheap, they're affordable, but they definitely are the wrong things to buy. And unfortunately, people don't get that. It's treated as an accessory, which is a style statement. I must have it. But the engaging part about what sound quality is talking about, you cannot get from that equipment. And people jump into it thinking, yeah, we have it, use it for some time, and then it's like catching dust. So that's a challenge, definitely.
That doesn't turn into his hobby and passion, because the equipment he's buying is so basic, because he can easily afford it, but then it's not giving what vinyl record is capable of giving you. You're not getting optimum out of the vinyl. It's just like playing average sound.
But I'll say something, right? Because people ask me why I'd still DJ with records, right? So in the program that I teach in Bombay, which is largely a music philosophy class around DJ culture, we talk about DJs being the custodians of audio history, right? So as someone who considers himself a custodian, there's two reasons why I take turntables out on the road and I DJ with turntables, right? The first reason is that a lot of people don't know what that is, right? So for me to put the physical turntable on stage is me telling the audience that, hey, this was also DJing. It was not computers, it was not this, because I'll tell you what happens is that I play shows and people see the thing, this motorized thing, spinning platter, a needle. Yeah, I was like, what is that, And they're young, so I understand that they've never seen this before, So I do it so that they can see that this is also part of DJ culture, not the hands in the air stuff which everybody can do, right? So that's one reason that I DJ with records, because it allows me to stand on what I say about DJs being custodians of audio history. That is part of audio history.
Oh, the client profile, I've had customers, Attorney General of India, he's sadly no more, Ghulam Manwati, to industrialists, doctors, musicians like Shantanu Moitra is my customer turned into a friend. Saif Ali Khan, Leslie Lewis, and who else?
Sachin Tendulkar.
Sachin Tendulkar has bought my Cadence speakers.
Crazy.
Yeah, it's quite
many
quite a
doctors.
crazy pace.
So people who actually work very intensely and they have a stressful work, and I've noticed that they find great, benefit of music. So they make a point to find few hours every day to listen to music, to de-stress themselves. I grew up listening to music, all kinds of music. And because his store was in the cantonment area, British time, a cosmopolitan crowd in this part of the town. So there was a lot of not just Indian music, but a lot of international music was also, we were selling in my father's shop.
So, do you have any record that's your holy grail, the one which is like toughest to acquire, and any backstory behind it?
Well, I have lots of very rare records which I acquired from a friend of mine from Germany. He was a Osho sannyasi, a musician, and he had about 800 very, very rare records pressed in Germany, and that was the first pressings, and which includes very vast range of. So they were like very rare ones which I own. They must be 700-800 at least.
Wow. So you, any holy grail?
I mean, I like a little bit of old rock. I like a little bit of jazz, which he introduces us to. And the journey of music is ever evolving, I feel. So every day at the store we discover something or the other which one likes. So difficult to kind of name a few, but yeah, we at the store go through an entire range of music.
The rarest record would be, and I bought it today just for display purposes, so I can even play it because I rarely play it. It's a 1967 copy of Purple Haze by Jimi Hendrix.
Okay.
The prized records, and there's a few, like I would say my collection of Grateful Dead records and my collection of Underground Resistance records are very special to me. I bought 2 rap records when I was 18 or 17 on the same day. It was Wu-Tang Forever and Fear of a Black Planet by Public Enemy. Those are very important records to me and my development in like music. My copy of Love Supreme, which I bought today, it's probably my 3rd copy, but it's important to me. That's a Coltrane record. In a Silent Way by Miles Davis, that's a very important record to me. Jazz and Silhouette by Sun Ra is also a very important record to me. I bought that to play today. So these are like, I would say they're the prized sort of records in my collection. I could name more. I could obviously name a lot more, but yeah, I think if when I connect those worlds of mine, which is like the hip hop from the East Coast of America and the psychedelic rock from the West Coast, and I guess the techno from Detroit, and the jazz, of course. I think if you can map my musical universe from those few records, you can see what I'm about musically from just those records in a way.
What are some of the records you would suggest to someone who is like new to the record collection?
From rock, one can start with Pink Floyd, Dark Side of the Moon, Wish You Were Here, Beatles, Abbey Road, and few other albums, collection of love songs. Eagles, then
Dire Straits.
Dire Straits, then Boss Skaggs, very rare, and Steely Dan is another great band. And in jazz, one can start with Louis Armstrong, Ella Fitzgerald, Nina Simone, Duke Ellington, then John Coltrane, George Benson. Anything you want
Dave
to add
Brubeck.
to that? Dave Brubeck, yeah, is one of the iconic jazz. It's Dave Brubeck. Take Five is like a stepping stone for most of the jazz lovers, even today.
Wow.
It's very easy for someone to start appreciating jazz, and first baby step is Dave Brubeck, Take Five, which was recorded in 1959. Until today, it's the bestseller.
And in a place like Pune, how do you engage with the community regarding vinyl appreciation?
I mean, at this point in time, we definitely have a database of people, not only restricted to Pune. Pune tends to become like a pretty small market, but our community is spread across the country. So at this point in time, it's mailers, WhatsApp messages of what we're getting in, what we're expecting in the coming months, things like that. We have a website which should be up and ready pretty soon. But at this point in time, communication is pretty much through friends who get friends along, and otherwise mailers and WhatsApp messages.
And also personally, we talk to clients and recommend different albums and why you should be buying it.
So how do you feel about the current landscape of alternative music in India?
There's actually no way for me to answer this question without pissing people off, right?
Feel free
So
to.
I will just tell you that my purpose in music is to connect worlds, right? It's because I think music's purpose is larger than any individual thing. When I look at this whole musical landscape, the alternative musical landscape, as you said, from my opinion, which is that music can be this powerful tool to change the world, then the landscape looks very bleak. In order for some kind of big national or even local or statewide or worldwide shift to happen in music, for people to really understand that value of what music can bring to people's lives, they would have to do that one thing I told you about earlier, which is they have to surrender. Surrendering to music's ultimate truth would mean that for a lot of people who are very comfortable making money now off the music industry, of the, let's be honest, of the exploitation of creative people in the music industry, they wouldn't have much to say for it, in the sense that they wouldn't have jobs to go to if people knew what the real potential of music was. I am eternally optimistic because I believe in the future. I'm not hung up about the past. I don't care about really people my age and stuff like that. I care about people who are just out of college, who are hopefully seeing this industry for what it is and maybe charting a different plan of how to really do something themselves without having to sell their souls.
So considering the modern evolution of music like online streaming, like you just said, how do you see the future of vinyl in the upcoming generations?
I think in future it'll be only two, streaming, live streaming, and vinyl records. People who are serious about music, people who love good sound, good music, and good music deserves a good sound system.
Of course.
So both will remain.
And how do you see Pune in the same?
Well, it's growing. It's
not a small city, it's a growing market.
And we started about
Pre-COVID.
And we started with a very small, and we didn't expect such a great response. We are ordering new stock every month.
So since, of course, sound is subjective, but
It is.
in terms of preference, of course.
Yes.
But usually when we hear sounds, people define good sound as something that has a lot of bass. So to those viewers, how would you, give them tips and tricks to identify a really
Very
good sound?
simple. You just imagine yourself, you are in front of musicians without any sound equipment, what it sounds. It's like you listen to Frank Sinatra or Lata Mangeshkar or someone or some musicians. And when they're performing, you don't tell them that I like more bass and something. And that is what high fidelity means, that you are faithful to the original sound.
His principle always has been less is more.
Oh,
If you do it right,
yes.
less is always more.
Of course. As an archivist of sound, what message would you like to give to our viewers?
Mr. Blue, I told you that I love you, please believe me. Mr. Blue, I have to go now, darling, don't be angry. I know that you're tired, know that you're sore and sick inside for some reason.
I think they should listen to more and more live music.
Yes, you
That's
should.
something he's always
Yeah, one
said.
should. One of the best way to acquire a good taste is to listen to live music, especially live music which is unplugged, and also it connects you emotionally, as I said earlier. And also, music is not just entertainment; it's more of a culture, and we need to preserve. Go more deeper into the music. I'm not a musician, but I can think music.
If there was a way for there to be an archive for independent music in India, so you could like read back and understand like this thing that people take for granted, this independent music scene, was really built by very few people. Very few people who are really passionate about this decided that, you know what, we're going to build something that's for others and not try and enrich ourselves from it. What I do as a DJ is to be a good custodian of audio history, to recontextualize the past for the future audiences, and do my best at it, because I'm really just a servant of this whole thing. I have no power in this whole thing.
Well, that's the way it goes some days. A fever comes at you without a warning.
I'm sort of so overflowing with my joy. Always explore new music, make excellent friends through the business who are also passionate music lovers. So it becomes very easy to connect with anyone.
But the best part is when clients become friends. And that's a journey which is always more satisfying. People just pop in for a cup of tea, and then from there on a conversation just starts. Could end up buying something, not buying something, but will turn out going out as a friend for sure.
As an archivist, I really hope that people would care to not erase history. That's really all the best I can hope for.
Mr. Blue, I told you that I love you, please believe me.
Anything you want to say?
That's all. No,
Any
there's nothing. I'm
questions?
excited to play.
Got too lost in the sauce.
Yeah.